What's the craziest butterfly effect that happened to you because of a small decision you made? I had to call my heart surgeon to give him my new insurance numbers. I had only just gotten them because the person who had them had the flu and was not getting back to me. As soon as I got my numbers, I called surgeon. The receptionist said, "Oh, hey, we just had a cancellation for this Friday, do you want it?" Of course I wanted to get it over and not wait another month. Decided to take the open heart surgery cancellation appointment, a month before my actual appointment, and well, surgeon said that thank goodness I did because once he got a look inside, he realized I would not have survived to the original appointment date. So, if the insurance lady didn't have the flu, I would have gotten those numbers a lot sooner, and never gotten the offer to have the surgery when I did. Someone else's flu saved my life. Wow. 14 years post-op. I had a brand new aorta that will last a lifetime and an aortic bovine valve. It's due to run out soon, but I still feel good. The story that describes the discovery of needing surgery is even more bizarre because I did not have symptoms, and I was running 3 miles a day, 30 years old, 2 healthy child labors. If my youngest made it to full term, he would have been too big and the aorta would have burst. Clean eater. A long strange trip. So a few years back, I lived in Nice, south of France, for a while. As a musician I would make a bit of extra cash busking, and one day, I figured I'd go and busk at the Promenade d'Anglais by the sea. It's usually packed, and it's just a generally pleasant place to be. I set up, played a couple of songs and was doing pretty well and making a decent amount of money. Then suddenly not one, but 2 of my guitar strings snapped. I even remember I was playing the Scientist at the time. I was massively gutted and decided to cut my losses early. I stormed off home, by the station, in a bit of a sulk at having to restring my guitar and cutting short what was essentially one of my most productive days of busking since moving there. Literally 1 hour later, my phone starts to blow the F up with family and friends freaking out and asking if I was at the Promenade. It was Bastille Day, 2016. The truck drove into the same crowd I was playing to, killing 86 people, including my at the time GF's uncle. I had 2 other friends who were amongst the 458 injured. I moved home the next month because it was too much, and haven't been back since. It's hard to explain. Sometimes I think I was super lucky, sometimes I just kind of cry and wonder why I was lucky and others weren't. It's surreal, and despite what people think, it's a truly horrible feeling. Edit. I'm overwhelmed by the support of people. I will be getting therapy and hopefully in time I'll be able to return to Nice as it was one of my favorite places on earth. Take care of yourselves, and if you've been through something similar, it looks like help is out there. Thank you all. Wow. So I just looked up survivor's guilt and it was really quite overwhelming reading about it and comparing symptoms. I'm 100% going to get some help, I think. Thank you for the recommendation as well as the kind words. In high school I took an intermediate biology course. I had never done biology before but was good at science generally, so I thought the intermediate course would be a good fit. My science teacher of a couple year previous happened to walk into my class to talk to the biology teacher and she spotted me in the class. She asked me what grades I had got the previous year. I told her and she nodded and left. A minute later she came back in and asked me to gather my belongings and leave the class. I was pretty sure I was in trouble for something I couldn't recall. She led me to another classroom and sat me down on an empty chair. Then she just started teaching. Turns out that she was running the advanced class that year and just decided to steal me as a student. I went on to take biology at undergrad level, and then a master's. I ended up doing a PhD in immunology and now work as an advisor for pharma companies. It gets better though. I decided I wanted to do my master's in London, and met a girl on the way. We are now 10 years in and own a house together. All that because that teacher happened to look in my direction. Lamau, that teacher straight up stealing students. When I was in 8th grade, 13 years old, I had a really long bus ride home so would pass the time by reading. One day I faced the very serious situation of nothing to read and a minute to grab something in the library, and for whatever reason I grabbed a book on astronomy. That book was amazing and grabbed me like nothing else had before. I remember being excited to realize every astronomer on Earth was 13 years old once too, and that was a career you could actually do, even if you were from Pittsburgh. Anyway, Today I am a professional astronomer who studies gigantic space explosions for a living. There was a lot of work to get from that moment to this one, but I'm always grateful that I picked up that library book. Edit. I am getting questions on how to be an astronomer, and wrote a detailed post on this topic at some point. Please read it over, and feel free to message or leave a question here if you have one. Web link. Right on. What major did you do in college? Ursa major, ba dum clang. I did a physics BSc and a history minor, no real reason for the latter except it was fun. Then I did a physics MSc, and an astronomy PhD. I go into detail about my own career path and my general advice on becoming an astronomer on, it's a pretty common question on Reddit. Web link. My husband, he found out after 18 years that his mom's side of the family was Spanish, not Mexican. He found this interesting and changed his country to Spain on MySpace instead the US where he really was. Meanwhile in Australia, I was helping my friend find Spanish people to add as a friend as she was learning the language. I came across my now husband and decided to send him a friend request as well. We got along really well and met in person after 3 years. Have been together 11 years, married for 7. If he didn't change his country to Spain, and only for a day or so, we'd never know each other existed. This one is the best I've read so far. Every decision you have made and will ever make has eventually lead to you reading this sentence. If you ever become rich and successful, remember to thank this sentence. Cheers bro, I'll drink to that. My spouse. This one's the best so far. Now, I'm going to change my country to Spain on MySpace. Out of university, looking for a job and exhausting all the online resources. On a whim, I looked in the career section in a print newspaper that was lying around in the house. We never subscribed to that paper, I don't know why it was even there. Got the job in a different city, met someone who is now one of my best friends, who introduced me to their friends, who introduced me to their friends and so on, until I was eventually introduced to my wife. If I'd found a job where I actually planned on working, there is absolutely no way I would have crossed paths with any of these people. Edit 1. I met my wife through a friend, who I met through another friend, who I met through another friend, who I met through the first friend I made at the company. Edit 2. I guess I need to go watch Early Edition? Newspapers from Destiny itself. Check the date, maybe they get tomorrow's newspaper today. Nobody remembers that show. Early Edition was awesome. Kind of crazy how many things have to go exactly right for you to meet someone? Like you could miss the perfect partner for you by like 10 minutes and you'd never know. Made a last-minute decision to go to a friend's divorce party and met my wife. Different people, right? Yeah, haha, the divorced person was a mutual friend. This adheres to the third law of marriages. For every divorce, there is an equal and opposite marriage. And a consequence of the first law of marriages, a marriage at rest stays at rest and a marriage in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside divorce. Divorce. Got to pay respect for marriage, and thus F equals ma, reach. Under pressure from my sister, you're young. You need to have fun. I went out to a concert and then to a bar after. Had this girl I barely knew wingwoman me to a cute guy playing pool. Next thing you know, I'm celebrating my 3-year wedding anniversary. I didn't want to go out that night but did due to pressure from my sister. He didn't want to go out that night, but his friend wanted to play pool. And I literally can't imagine my life now if I hadn't had that random girl wingman me. Our paths never ever would have crossed otherwise. Of course it took me a long time to admit to my sister her role in the whole thing. Edited to clarify. That's funny, I opened this thread to comment that my sister thought I was a depressed and depressing bitch and was always trying to get me to go out, but I was pretty focused on my career and always tired, so I never did. One night she was going to a bar where a mutual friend was DJing and I always liked his set, so I reluctantly agreed to go. Commented in passing that a dude across the room was cute and my sister was just drunk enough and just sick enough of me being an antisocial hermit that she went over and told him, hey, my sister wants to meet you. Anyway, 2 kids and 13 years later, I'm still a depressed bitch sometimes, but dude from the bar is husband/daddy. About 10 years ago, There were no PC games to play, so I tried using Windows XP's Movie Maker out of boredom. I didn't know that I'm going to enjoy it and take it seriously. Now, I'm currently working on a TV/film production as a video editor. Clarification, I mean, there's no games that is installed with our computer back then. I also started on Windows Movie Maker. I specifically remember having to save the video multiple times and import it back in to add more text layers, laughing my butt off. Yes. And I remember having issues with exporting the video when it's longer than 4 minutes. My desire for pizza set off a chain reaction that destroyed my family. One day got home from school and really wanted pizza. Family was poor, so spontaneous food trips weren't always in the cards. Really worked my pouty face to my mom and begged to go to the local pizza place for dinner. She said all right. While chilling there, I saw my uncle walk by, and I was like, to F, Uncle X, is that you? Now you might say, well, he wanted pizza, what's the big deal? Well, he lived several states away, so to arbitrarily be in town and not tell anyone was strange. Turned out he was having an affair with his sister-in-law, my aunt on the other side of the family. She was basically a money-grubbing whore, and the family protested. One thing led to another, and everyone hates each other now, and we haven't had contact in like 20 years. I just wanted some pizza. Domino's effect. And how was the pizza? Oh man, it was glorious. It's a local chain to my area that makes the sauce really sweet, so visitors typically aren't a fan. It's a flavor you can only get there, and man, when you crave it, you crave it. They got good cheese sticks too. So you got nice pizza and got rid of the contacts to your family. Some people would declare this as a win-win. So we have evidence. We had her court records and arrest history and such. We tried to share the legal documentation, but we were accused of just bullying her because hard evidence backed by the court system is mean. So when it finally was falling apart, I was just like, F 'em. We tried to warn them, they chewed us out. F 'em. As it turns out, she bled him dry and moved on. My simple response was, told you so. I joined the army because I wanted a pizza. I worked third shift at the time, and when I got home I made a frozen pizza. My stepdad woke me up yelling at me that afternoon for making the pizza, since I guess he had wanted to have it for supper. That was the last straw over a shaky relationship I had with my parents, so I went to the recruiter the next day and enlisted, just so I could get out of the house. Got a new to one, boys? No. Your uncle's desire for his sister-in-law set off a chain reaction that destroyed your family. So, dinner and a show. Betrayal like this is bound to come out sooner or later. You just made it sooner. 4 years ago, a kid I barely knew from school invited me to a Six Flags. I was a bit of a loner at the time, and I heard rumors about this kid being weird, so I intended to not go. On the day he wanted me to go, I was feeling extra bored and decided on a whim, why not? So I went and met this kid and 2 of his friends I've never met at a Six Flags. 4 years later, and that kid is my best friend, and I have 3 other very close friends I met through him. Not only that, but I also met my first girlfriend because of the connection some of my new friends had. It transformed my high school years from being alone to having an amazing group of friends I could do almost anything with. I intended to ask my best friend to be my best man one day, and I don't intend on ever getting out of touch with any of them. I'm home from college now, and we are going to have a lot of fun together. Best decision I've ever made. Your story is oddly similar to mine. Laughing out loud at the beginning of college, they set up all different activities that you could sign up for and spend time with other new incoming freshmen. I forget how I linked up with this certain group, but I think I just met someone and we were friendly, so I just ended up with their group. Everyone was super nice, and given that Six Flags has the worst lines, there's a lot of time to talk. I got to meet some cool people and enjoyed my day immensely. Fast forward to today, the one person I don't remember being there but remembers me is one of my absolute best friends. 7 years now, and I still laugh at how I don't remember meeting her that day. The older I get, the more I am constantly cognizant of the vast cascade of seemingly insignificant decisions and actions that led me to where I am. For example, a decision 25 years ago to change a refrigerator light bulb before going out resulted in my being at the wrong time and place so as to get mugged, which resulted in my decision to move out of the city I had been living in, which resulted in my meeting my wife, and from there to having all my kids and the whole shebang. I would have had a different whole shebang had I not changed that light bulb that afternoon, but the path to the present leads through that, and 1,000 other, similarly trivial decisions. This is so interesting to me. I wonder if your life would really be so different if it wasn't for that light bulb, or that you might have decided the same because of other reasons. I guess that is the general question on the validity of the butterfly effect. At a university career fair and just has a long day taking to companies and heading out when I see a Honda booth. Designing cars would be awesome, but there is a huge line. It has been a long day, and what are the chances? But wait. They are giving away hats and shirts and model cars. So I talk to them. A day later I get a call back for an online assessment. I fill that out and don't hear anything back for a month or so. Then I get a call one night saying I was an alternate and someone canceled last minute, so they want to fly me up for on-site interviews. I go and end up getting and accepting an offer. After graduation I move about 1,000 miles away from home for my new job, where a few years after I meet my now wife and we have 2 kids. I never would have crossed paths with her otherwise. So the entire course of my life was shifted because Honda gave away good swag at their career fair booth. I went to a career fair one day, as I wanted to get a job in the IT field. I was in school, ITT Tech, I know, for computer networking. Saw a stand for a gas station chain and thought to myself, I don't want to work at a gas station, and kept on going. Passed out my resume and had a good talk with a local company that a few of my classmates worked. Was about to leave and pass the gas station stand again, but this time I saw IT on their poster. Decided to just see what the IT was about and dropped off my resume. Talked with the recruiter and was told about a department that needed an intern. I got an interview for a position and it was more of this is what you will be doing and this is what it pays, when can you start? 13 years later I'm still working for a gas station chain and really enjoying it. Hey, I went to ITT too. But dropped out because it felt shady. Sure, I owed like 13 grams, but I'm happy where I am and it's almost paid off, so shrug, what can you do? A buddy of mine ended up interning out of ITT at a gas station for their design department. He hated it. I kept with it, because I thought that a known school's degree would be better than random community college. I should have gone the community college route, but oh well. I'm doing what I love. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.